Hello, my name's Jon Sermon. I'm a pastor from the UK. But right now I'm speaking to you from Uganda, where I am partway through an extended mission trip working with partners in the Reformed Presbyterian Church of Uganda and God's Power Ministries International. Some of you know that I have been recording videos for encouragement. Well, initially it was daily when the COVID lockdown came. I'm very thrilled that times have improved to such an extent in that respect that not only are we out of lockdown, but we're out of travel restrictions, and this is now actually the second time I've been in Uganda since restrictions were lifted. My wife Ruth is here with me. It's her first ever trip to Africa, although it's my 10th to Uganda, and I've also recently been in Zimbabwe. I want to share some encouragement for you all from today's experience, or in fact from the last 3 weeks. Travelling in Uganda is such a wonderful experience. The scenery is beautiful, the place is lush, and we have had the chance to visit 2 of the national parks and see animals such as hippo, elephants, giraffes, zebra, antelopes and so on in their natural habitat in the wild. But most of my time is spent with the churches and church-run schools and an orphanage. The visits have been full of encouragement. To some extent, we in the West can offer resources, in some cases financial resources, training resources. Our major project with the charity I work with, Romans 1:11 Trust, here in Uganda, is a training scheme for pastors, and I've been a guest teacher on the course on this trip because whilst when the project was born, we used to fly from the UK and teach in English. Not everybody speaks good English here in Uganda, and the project developed to such an extent that we now have African teachers teaching in African languages for the most part. But it was back to using me and an interpreter during my guest appearance in one of the training sessions last week. Today has been Sunday, so the usual pattern of church here in Uganda is that they start maybe around 10 or 10:30. The worship service lasts 2 to 3 hours, sometimes more. And my travel meant that Ruth and I, accompanied by Pastor Richard, who's one of the locals who's travelling with me now, we arrived after the service had started, and the exuberant praise was fulsome, and then there was still another 2.5 hours of worship, including my preaching. But where we were at, a place called Luafu on the outskirts of Kampala, the church also run a school, and so school children were present. Quite a lot of them are boarders, and they also run a voluntary health centre which was set up during COVID times, serving the community, actually sharing their stories of all the good that God is doing with them was fantastic. I'm going to just move the camera around a little so you can see more of the scenery of the garden I'm in at the guest house I'm staying at for the next couple of nights. And being here is really encouraging to me. But one of the main reasons it's so encouraging is that I see God at work here. And we had someone give a testimony in church this morning of how he had come to faith quite recently whilst in prison, and how he's been enabled by God to turn his life around, and he's now on an apprentice scheme studying to be a full contributor to society in every way. The level of expectation for God to be involved in life is so much higher here than we typically experience in the UK. It's really refreshing. And I want to encourage you that we in the UK, those of you who are hearing it there, but wherever you are, we can all genuinely expect the same. This morning in our devotions, we were looking at a section in Paul's letter to the Ephesians in which he refers to God as able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or even imagine. We get snippets of experiencing that here in Uganda, and I pray that you do wherever you are. God bless you.